I got a feeling that you got me covered too. I got you covered. I got you covered.
Hi, everybody. How is everybody doing today? I made the mistake. I moved my camera by accident because I was taking stuff down to go record and it knocked off. And I thought, I know I should test that before I go live, but oh well. Nobody's perfect, y'all. It shows that, right? We're just, oops. There we go. Nobody's perfect. Got it now. I'm a mess today. I'll fully admit it. Hopefully everybody is doing well. See, just a mess today. It's okay. We're all here to be a mess. I showed up. That's the important part of this live is just showing up and being there for people, whatever it may be. So we're going to have a discussion on showing up today and how that looks, the ways we can show up for people. And I did do the devotion with Mama. We got that done. And I really, really have enjoyed doing that with her because I get so much, coming. Hi, Juan. I get so much from, listening to her wisdom. And I really kind of like having those times because I think one day my grandchildren are going to see this and maybe they will take the opportunity to listen and realize that this is her, their great grandma. I am tired. Yesterday was big, Sunday was big. And then about 7:30 after we got done and everything last night, it was probably about 7:30 and 7:30, 8:30 or something. And Mom called me. I was actually editing the devotion and she called me up on the phone and she said, it sounded like she was crying. She said, "Come, I need your help." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she's fallen." That was my first thing that came to my head. And so my feet have been acting up a little bit. And so I was trying to do the best. I literally went outside in about 30-degree weather, no shoes on, as best as I could walk. And Mocha, this dog from next door, little tiny dog, had come out without a leash and come at Mocha and my mom, and Mocha felt like protecting. And then my mom had to let Mocha go, and Mocha didn't do anything. I thought, some, not all, some pit bulls will, or bully breeds will, go after them, and there's, damage that happens. There was none. She just wanted to sniff. And so forth. But my mom was panicked for a moment. So I had to come out. So my back and everything are just a little sore. I'm sore today. I think I'm just tired and I need to relax. So that's what I'm going to be doing after this is over with. But everybody was fine. Nobody was upset. And it just sat there and goes, Mocha is this big, huge baby. She really is. She's just this big, huge, just when you get to know her, she's just this, she puts on this big front at times, but she's just just the sweetest dog inside. And then my mom was out. She has this, and I do this for a minute, give roll call in a little bit, just kind of let everybody filter in and those notifications go out as they're supposed to. We have a maintenance guy and she loves him. And so she saw him out today and she just flipped. We call her boyfriend. She loves guys in uniform. I don't know what it is, but I guess that's a thing. But anyway, everything was fine. But I came in and I was like, oh, my back really didn't like that. And then last night, about 4:30 in the morning, Josh woke up with a sugar crash, and I had to go get him something, his peanut butter jelly sandwiches and his apple juice. And then he didn't put his CPAP on. And guess what happened? I didn't go back to sleep until about 6:30. So I'm a little tuckered, but it's okay. We're going to show up despite how whatever's going on. And I'm saying all that because I think it's important to understand when we're doing this topic of showing up. Because I almost sat there thinking in the back of my head, I'll just postpone it till tomorrow. No, Mary, you promised to show up and you're going to do exactly that. You're going to show up because you need it and you don't know who else needs to hear it. We're going to show up for the people that are around us. Hi, Alfonso. And that's really, really important. So, how does that look? Something else I wanted to say, and right? We've had those moments in one head and out the other. This stream, and I want to say this first before I even say this. When people come into our chats, not every channel that we put in, if you're coming in and I know the channel and we're friends and you come in and supported this channel, I'm going to put your channel in chat. Now, there's going to be a time as we get bigger that may not be a possibility to do, but for right now, we can do that. Not every channel we do or have or put in here may be for everybody. It may be for some. It may not be for others. That's okay. Just go check it out and go from there. This stream is dedicated to, I consider, a brother and a friend of mine. I have never met him, but I have met him through live through Facebook, and he came into the live on Saturday. Cash Kelly. I'm going to put him in the chat again. Go check them out. If it's not a channel for you, then you don't have to subscribe. Just go check it out. His story in itself has a great testimony behind it, but I really appreciate his message. He talks about being a street light, and he came in to our chat on Saturday and just gave his support, gave that thumbs up, and I really, really appreciate it. What happened for me is it reminded me here. It gave me that little bit of fire under the tail end I needed again. Like, Mary, wake up and smell the coffee. And I needed that. And sometimes we need it. So this stream and this show is dedicated to him because I really, really appreciate that. And sometimes we need it. And I appreciate it tremendously. And so I wanted to say that. I needed that. And it reminded me kind of to go back to what Tommy said, right? When he said there was a gentleman in prison and he wasn't really too much, he was intelligent, but he had some issues, and and he said, you know what? He said, I want to save all these people. Tommy's talking and said, I want to save all these people. And he said to Tommy, he said, Tommy, start with 6. Start with 6 people. And then when you go get those people, taken care of, right? Then go and take care of the next 6 and keep doing that. And I thought, we got to be reminded to show up for people. We got to be reminded to show up for just the one if that's what they need. And I really appreciate everybody, no matter whether you have a channel of 60,000 like Cash, or you got a channel of 200, or you got no channel. You're just coming in here because you need the support. I am grateful to everybody that shows up. You do not know what it means to me. It means a huge amount to me to have people in. I know that the pain level I was in before I came on here is not going to be as much when I get off, because I've got my connection fixed. And I was on Lewis Acre Karma, which I will also drop her link as well yesterday. We had a great show for anybody that did not get to watch it. I will put her channel, that show in here. We had a great conversation yesterday. And I love what she said. It was absolutely so meaningful to me yesterday when she said, as I was talking about the name, Blessed to Crochet, and I thought, you know what? I don't know if, sometimes I wonder if it, is worth kind of keeping the name because, hi Gulf Coast Granny, how are you? Welcome on in. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, is it worth it to kind of, keep the name? Because maybe people don't click in because they see crochet and they think, oh, well, I don't crochet, so I'm not going to come on to something like that. You know what it is? She said something very poignant to me yesterday, and I loved it. She said, if you think about it, Mary, and this was the live that we both did together. It was a 2.5-hour live, and it was just wonderful discussion we had together. And if you haven't subscribed to her channel, go over and subscribe. She said, if you think about it for a moment, you are actually crocheting connection. And I thought, wait a minute. It was like light bulb moment, right? We've all had them in our lives. I was like, she's so right. If you think about it, I was doing crochet today because I have a blanket to do. And I was thinking, if you think about it, crochet is a bunch of knots. I'm working on the blanket here. I can pull it up real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about, right? In crochet, to put it together, if it'll cooperate with me, right? There's a bunch of knots. These are bobble stitches, but it's a bunch of knots to bring it together. This would not be in one strip like this if it wasn't crocheted and knotted together. It's exactly what we're doing when we do connection. We are crocheting connection. We're crocheting it together, and we're making a beautiful tapestry. It's going to be huge. But we're bringing it together, and we are crocheting together this beautiful tapestry. And I absolutely loved what she said about it, because I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. We're doing it out of love. We're doing it out of friendship. And you don't have to know how to crochet at all to crochet connection. You don't have to know how to do it. Hi, Brazy girl. How are you? You don't have to know how to do it. You just have to say, I want to crochet some connection. I loved it. I was like, yes, you're right. And it absolutely turned how I looked at Blessed to Crochet in a whole different way. She said, you are crocheting a connection. People are crocheting even if they've never picked up a hook. You are the hook. The other person's the yarn. And we're crocheting lives together. We're crocheting that connection together. Hi, Maritza, if you realize that showing up means showing up for your friend, it means showing up for your community. If you go to church, showing up for your church community. It means showing up for your family, your mother. That's what I did last night when I had to go right outside as fast as these little hurtful legs would go to go help. I showed up for her. I heard afterwards, but I showed up, right? Showing up for your kids, showing up for your husband, showing up. Let me ask you this very important question. Have you shown up for yourself lately? I thought about this today. Have you shown up for yourself today? I'm showing up for myself because by coming on here, I'm getting the connection. I'm going to feel better after I get off. I'm showing up for myself. Have you shown up for yourself lately? And I think that we forget the importance of showing up for just ourselves. It's an important thing to think about, in the sense of we have to show up for ourselves. And if that means that when I get done with this live stream, I go lay down for a while, or I go crochet for the rest of the night, or whatever self-care I need to do. If it means that for you going to get a pedicure or something, it means a lot, or getting together with a friend, have you shown up for yourself lately? Are you taking care of everybody else and showing up for everybody else, but not showing up for yourself? I thought about that. There was a gentleman during the really cold snowstorm we had. And I forgot what, I think he was in Chicago. I don't remember where he was. But anyway, he was going, he lived, him and the child's mother were no longer together. And he lived on the next block. Okay. He lived close to his son. And his car could not get out of the snow. Everything was shut down. And it was his weekend to go be with his son. And he got this little sled out, and he put, I took a gorgeous nap today, crocheted 5 granny squares. I love it. I haven't gotten a nap yet, but I'm going to relax though. But anyway, after this is over, he took a rope and he hooked it on to the sled, and he walked to go pick up his son. It was cold, but he showed up for his son. I'm going to go see my son today. I am going to make sure that I see him, and I make sure that I'm there for my son. I'm going to show up for him. And he did. They all dressed up, and they went down the road in this little thing to go get his son. That's what dads do, but not all dads do it. Not all moms do it. Not all parents do it. We have to realize that. But I thought he showed up for his son. Guys, if you've had a relationship that has dissolved and there's kids involved, I know that there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of pain that goes along with it. But don't make your problems your kids' problems. If you've got to go meet them someplace to make a parent swap with the kids, if you got to show up at a game, say, you know what? If we have a disagreement, we're not doing it in front of our kids. Don't bring your kids into it. Don't bash the other person around your kids. This is a part of your children, is a part of that other person. And at one point you found something that was attracted you to them and that you loved, and you felt enough to produce a beautiful thing. Don't sit there and do that. But we have to show up for our kids. We got to show up for these young people today. I notice a lot of these young people, somebody like me seems like an old fogey, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. We got to show up for them. My daughter forgot her purse the other night that she was here on Sunday. I didn't feel like driving. I'm sure my husband didn't. He was the one to drive. I didn't feel like driving for an hour to go bring her purse, but it meant that she wasn't going to be able to go to work the next day. We showed up for her. We did it because we loved her. Are we showing up for our friends? Are we showing up for our people surrounding us? I know to a lot of people, Cash Kelly coming into the chat doesn't mean anything to anybody in the chat, but it means something to me. Because to me, on the other side of this thing, I think, yeah, there's no channel with that many that's going to bother with a little channel like myself at 1,400. We reached 1,400 the other day, by the way, on Karma's channel. And it meant a heck of a lot to me because it said, wait a minute, Mary, you're thinking too small. And my mom said something. She said, Mary, and I said it to myself just kind of as we were saying it. Stop looking at yourself at 1,400. Look at yourself at 14,000. You're doing something. Stop looking at yourself so small. We all do it. We think of ourselves so small. We got to be there to show up. Him coming in the chat and showing up and just saying hello was like, wake up, girl. You're doing something right here. You got people that care about you and that love you and that are here and that are showing up. I really, really appreciate it. Guys, when you come into the chat, I light up. I appreciate it more than you know. And if I'm doing something good and I'm encouraging you, that's fine. You know, Karma and I were talking about it yesterday. She goes, I don't like to focus too much on illnesses and so forth. But she said, I know we do. She said, I try not to. And I said, listen, if my story helps one person, I'll focus on it. And here's where I think that if you're dealing with a dissolving relationship and you have kids involved, go to a therapist and talk with them so that you can make healthy of co-parenting. Therapy has been so helpful for me as a whole because I can tell things that happened without it really affecting me. What affected me last week was Patty. Guys, I was depressed last week. I will fully admit it. I didn't see it. My therapist saw it. She kept after me on the phone for about 2 or 3 minutes. Are you depressed? No, I'm not. I'm fine. Then she let me talk and she came back to the question, are you depressed? No, I'm fine. And I finally had to admit, yeah, I am. I was depressed last week. And you all being there made a difference. But I needed to realize and put a face on the fact that I was. I don't know when the shoe's going to drop. I don't know when phone call is going to come in. I have no idea. But I can't live the next 3 or 4 months waiting for it. I have to just realize it's going to happen. And when it does, people that have come to know me, they're going to show on up. They're going to surround me with lots and lots of love, and I can't be more grateful to that. I am so thankful you guys show up. And here's just one other thing. I want you all to realize the power that you have in the fact that you have the power to, you have the power in order to spread the person that you like that is doing really good things on a channel that you like. You have power. Hit that little share button, go to your social media. Now, if you're going to share us, you may want to say, listen, great place for connection. Go check her out. You don't have to know how to crochet. I'm changing because right now in our description, you don't have to know how to crochet. I'm going to say, let's crochet connection. You can do that without having to know how to crochet. Because that's what we're doing here. We are crocheting connection. It is a beautiful way to look at it. But you guys have the power. If you have a channel that's doing something good, put it on your social media. Let your friends know about the fact that you're watching somebody and you're part of a community that's doing real good. You guys have a lot of power in that. And it does help to just share it, share those little things. Here is just a one, and I loved it because it was from your Big Sister article, and I'll put it in the description when this ends, right? So many portrayals of friendships can make us think that showing up for friends means something unrealistic for our actual lives. How do we show up for friends? Actually have in our lives that we are currently living. Here are some ideas, right? Ask a friend what they want or need. If you know them well enough, right? You don't need to ask them what they need or want. There's a lady at our church, and I know that I can bring her 2 chickens. You've heard me talk about the lady with the 2 chickens before. I can bring her 2 chickens at different times, and she will absolutely love them. She knows. I did it when she had surgery recently. I did it when her husband was going through something. I will bring these 2 chickens, and she doesn't even have to ask, but every once in a while, I will do that for her. And I see this huge smile on her face, and she gives me this big hug, right? If you know the person enough, you don't have to ask. But if you don't, that's a really good thing to ask them what they want or need. If you had come around or called me when I was raising Christina and you would have said, I see you're struggling. Is there anything that I can do for you or you need? My one thing would have been, can you bring me a meal? Because that means I don't have to cook. I'm tired. I just went and worked and mind you, I was working in an auto mall at one point for 6 years. And I come home and I had to decompress because I was dealing with numbers all day long and counting money and all this kind of stuff. And my brain was like going, I need a break for a minute. Sorry about that. And also dealing with customers and always weren't the nicest to us girls. A lot of them were, but we had our moments. So we have to remind ourselves that we need to ask. And my thing would have been, I'm coming home, picking up Christina. I'm tired. I've had to rest a little bit. Depending on what Christina's mood is in, I may or may not have a meltdown in the mix of trying to get dinner on and, have dinner. Then dinner has to happen, shower has to happen, bedtime has to happen. And until we got Jordan, it was like, it could be so exhausting. And if I wanted to go to sleep, and if she was just not going to go to sleep any other way, guess what was going to happen? Mama was going to sleep in the bed because that meant I could sleep. So if you asked me what I wanted, it would have been a meal, and it could have been 2 chickens from Sam's Club with a thing of rolls, a thing of potatoes, and, a salad. I would have been perfectly happy. That would have been that simple of a thing. It doesn't seem like that much, but it's just enough, right? So you want to always, you want always just know what the best way to show up for a friend is. So ask them. If you're not sure, ask them. What is the best way that I can do to show up for you? It's that simple. Doesn't take much. It just takes a little bit of asking, right? If you're not sure. If they're having surgery, they might want you to visit them in the hospital, or they may prefer you organizing meals. They might need you to pick up their children so that it's one less thing that they have to coordinate. By asking, you have given your friends a chance to express what they need instead of just assuming or guessing that they need something. Here's the thing about that, too, I want to point out. Knowing your friend enough, no, I'm going to rephrase that. We as people, when we are asked what we want or need, if I ask this friend of mine, can I bring you 2 chickens? Oh, no, that's okay. We're just fine. No, you're not. The day I showed up with 2 chickens, she absolutely came out of that house last year and wrapped her arms around me and hugged me because she was exhausted. And I said to her, here they are. You've got to ask for help. She goes, I don't want to ask for help. I don't like asking for help. So if we have a friend coming to us and saying to us, hey, what do you need and want? What can I do for you to help lighten your load? How often do we sit there going, we're fine. We don't need anything. I've done it. My mom's done it. We're fine. My grandmother, God love her, but at one point in time, we had these walkie-talkies, or not baby monitors. We had one at the houses were next door to each other. We had one in her house she didn't know was on, and one over at my house. So if anything happened, I heard a fall, anything, I could go over and help her. So I'm hearing things go on, and I come through to check on her. 10 o'clock in the morning. Hi, Jackie. 10 o'clock in the morning, right? I come through, and there she has her lunch. It was a tuna sandwich, I think it was. Her lunch, right, on the bed. And I said to her, Nana, why is this on the bed? Oh, I was going through there. I thought I'd go ahead and get it there. No, I take it back. It was like 11 o'clock, right? And I said, Nana, I can come through and help you. And she said, no, 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 it's okay. You don't have to do that. And I said, but I want to do that. I can go ahead and help you. She wouldn't do that. So what happened when I used to come over at 11 o'clock and come through and help her, she would make it so that if it was at 11 o'clock, right? It was 11 o'clock. What would happen? She'd bump it back to 10:30. And I'd be like, Nana, come on. And then eventually I came through there and it wasn't 10:30 because she knew I was going to come. It was 10 o'clock. I said, Nana, you can't leave your lunch out, especially if it had Mayo in South Florida, even though it was air conditioning for 2 hours before you eat. You're going to wind up getting sick. She didn't want to ask for help. She knew I was coming over there to ask for help, and she was going to be independent and stubborn as all get out, and she was going to back it up. Probably should have backed it up to 9 o'clock in the morning. Eventually, what we had to do was put her lunch in a lunch box so that it could have some ice and so forth. So she decided to go get it because my mom would prepare a sandwich or something for her. My mom, if we had to go if she went and got it, she could have something to keep it cold. She didn't want to ask for help. Guys, if we're going through the storm, if we're going through the struggle, we've got to be willing to ask out for help if we're going through something. Don't be ashamed to say, you know what, to a friend, I see you're struggling, or to someone that is raising an autistic individual, can I help you? Right? And one of those ways is to maybe bring them a meal. Can I bring you a meal? And it doesn't take much to do that, but it really, really helps tremendously to just do something like that. And we, as the people that are the recipients, guys, we have got to stop and sit there going, wait a minute, right? We have got to stop and sit there and go, you know what? We've got to be willing to ask for help, because it's important to sit there and do it and be willing to ask for help and not be sitting there going, okay, we're fine. Get, second. Um, we're fine. We don't need it, but sometimes we do. I thought this was very interesting. I love this idea. Keep a list. I really like that. We can do it on our phone, right? It may be nice to keep a running list of small things about your friends. I love that. Even if you had a couple friends, right? Like if they mentioned something that they would like to do, or a small treat that they enjoy, or even details about something that they don't like, then you can be really helpful when you come up with ideas with gifts or ways to celebrate your friends. I love that. If you have a little list and say, Sarah, right? Or Brazy or whatever it is, or Kristen or whatever, have a small little list, right? If you had a list for me, it would be loves yarn, loves connection. She loves going out and having a bite to eat. She doesn't like anything spicy. And I don't tolerate spice well. Peppers and all that, my stomach doesn't handle. Doesn't like spicy stuff. Right? If you keep a little list on your phone of things about your friend, then when it's going to be their birthday, or when you feel like they're having a rough time, correct? You can make sure that you can sit there with them and go through and say, okay, I can relate. I can be able to pick something out that I think that they would like, right? I also liked this one, and it may be a little hard for some people to realize. Don't keep score. How often have we been around our friends that they will bring up something that we did during a difficult time in our lives, right? And we're sitting there thinking, I'm sorry, I had a moment, whatever. We sometimes need to give ourselves grace. So don't keep score. Here's the thing. You can't keep score with your friends. It will hurt your friendship if you keep track of doing what of who is doing what all the time. As long as you're friends, as long as things are rough, even a general, you know, just go with it. So we have to, it doesn't mean that we're sitting there going, we're going to let people trample all over us. But if they're having a difficult time, and they may get on the phone with us and be a little irritated, or this or that, or whatever it is, or some kind of disagreement you had 3 months ago, say, you know what, forgive me. It doesn't mean we need to forget, but we need to not keep score. Do you remember that thing you did 3 months ago? Well, if you're talking to me, I've already forgotten it. I'm not keeping score. If we've already said it, we've already settled it, we've already had the disagreement, we've already put it aside, this girl is not keeping score. This girl is saying, right? I could not do this with my daughter. If I sat there and named you all the things she did, I'd be keeping score, and it would kill our relationship. She has her autistic moments. I have to sit there and go, okay, right? I have to let them go. I don't have to like them, but I have to let them go. How often do we keep a score with our friends, or we sit there and keep a score? I'm not going to show up for them. They didn't show up for this at my thing. I had this party and they didn't show up. Call them up and have a discussion. There was one little, it was a little boy, and he was talking about it. I 100% agree with this. He said, if people are talking about you behind your back and they're not willing to come in front and have the discussion with you, you have every permission to put them in your, they need to be behind you. I'm sure people have maybe talked about myself, maybe my mom, maybe my daughter, maybe this channel. If they have and they haven't come discuss it with me, they're behind me. I'm not going to sit here and allow it to steal my joy. If I have a friend that has had a disagreement or not something that I didn't like, we've sat down, we've talked about it, we've gone through it, we've said our things about it, and we've made up, let's not keep score. Everybody has their difficult days. Everybody has their moments. Whatever we're going through, we have to remember that we are going to have those times in our lives where we have those moments. And sometimes we got to give our friends grace, or our children grace, or our spouse grace, or our parents grace. But if we don't do that, if we're going to keep score, it is very true. How are you going to show up? You're not. You have to walk that carefully. Doesn't mean we're having people step on over us. No. People don't step on us. We're not a doormat. It's healthy to set boundaries and say, no, these are my boundaries. And if you have a friend that's continuously stepping over them boundaries, you may have to have a very serious discussion with them. Hi, Lucy. How are you? Very serious discussion, but don't keep score. It's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for them. You're there for them, and be there for them and show up for them. It is important. Alrighty, what's the next one on this list? I liked this list. Small things matter. Right? I think sometimes we think we have to show up for something, and somebody has to be these big things. Josh said to me this morning, he said, and I did put it on the link tree, was some diamond art things, which we're eventually going to do, bring those out and so forth, because I do enjoy diamond art. And I've been saying to him I wanted to get a new light board. And he said to me, he said, close your eyes. Okay. I wonder what. He said, close your eyes. And I was like, oh my goodness. What does he mean? What is he going to give me? Gave me this box. He said, happy early Valentine's Day. And inside it was a light board. I had mentioned to him a month ago, I've got to get a light board, and I just haven't gotten around to getting one. He showed up in a very small way. The light board wasn't that expensive, but he knew that I do enjoy diamond art. It is very, very relaxing. If you're ever looking for relaxing stuff, and there we did add some diamond art stuff and the light board that he got me. It is very, very relaxing. I do enjoy it when I can get done with crochet projects to do. But I just thought to myself, he showed up. He remembered last month I said I needed a new light board. He showed up and got me a new light board. I thought, it doesn't need to be these huge things. If you've been invited to go to a friend's party and you can't go physically or mentally, then it would be better for you to call that friend personally. Don't do this stuff by text, guys. Sometimes text can just not be carried off the way it should be. Call them on the phone and say, you know what? I really want to come to your party, but I'm really been busy this week. I am tired. Be sincere about it, right? Hi, Crystal. Hi, Crystal. How are you? Be sincere about it, right? Be sincere in how you do it. Don't just call up for the heck of it and say, okay, we're gonna, I don't want to come. Don't make up a huge excuse. If they're their true friends, then they will understand if something's happening, that you can't make it for whatever reason. So if you're going to show up at a party, right, for a friend, and for some reason they just can't, you can't be there, call them up and tell them why. It may be just simple as, I'm really tired. I've had a busy week. I want to be there. I just mentally can't do it. And if they're a dear friend, they're going to understand why. But in that sense, do we realize we're showing up for them? By not calling them, right, means that we're not showing up for them. We have forgotten the art of RSVP. I can tell you, we had my daughter's wedding. We had at least 30 people I had to chase down. Are you coming or are you not coming? And I'm thinking, we have to answer to a catering person. And if we're having 115 and we got 130, right? That's a huge amount if you want to do $20 per plate. It makes a huge difference. So I had to get, are you coming? I think we've forgotten the art of RSVP, and that may be a subject in its own. We've forgotten how important, well, if you don't answer, then I'm not coming. Call your friends and say, listen, I know you're having a party tonight. I just can't do it. And if they're true friends, they're going to understand why. I think media teaches us that the grand gestures are making what makes relationships meaningful, but it's really the small things. It's like you all coming into the chat mean a great deal to me. Cash coming in on Saturday meant a great deal to me. Me, when I go into the chats today or into chats and places that I have friends in and they say hi, it means a great deal to me. And that's where we have to have trust in the people surrounding us and in our circle. We have to have trust. There's a new channel that Tommy's doing with a gentleman named Casper. I was in there this morning and I felt awful naked because I didn't have my wrench, because I have my wrench on the boat. And I'm sitting there going, there's Casper's talking about his channel, and I'm sitting there going, can I please, I can put it in the chat if you just give me a wrench, please. And anyway, I was just sitting there going, okay. And eventually, Krista Melinda came in and she goes, I feel naked too because I don't have my wrench. And eventually, Tommy picked it up and he said, you know what? He said, you see these people in the chat, Krista Melinda and Blessed to Crochet. He said, you know what? Give them a wrench. We can all trust them. They're good people and they're awesome. And we know we can trust them. And that we've built that trust. It's taken a while, but we built it. That meant a huge deal to myself. You know why? Because it meant that who I am, I've shown the fact that I'm trustable, that I have integrity, and that I'm going to be a good friend. Because when somebody allows you to be a wrench on their channel, it really says something about them. Everybody that you see come in as a mod here is someone that I and my mother trust and that are friends. Because we know they're going to come in here and be safe. And if you're not, then you're not going to be a wrench. It's that simple. But we forget that we have got to have trust in a relationship. And when that trust is broken, guess what happens? Makes it very difficult to have a relationship. If the relative that I love is going to come back to this family, there's going to be huge boundaries. I will never trust them 100% ever again. They have lost that entirely. They're never going to get it from me because I cannot give it to them. This is the second time you've done what you have, and it was too painful the first time. It's now too painful the second time. You're not going to get a third time. I'll let him in. Boundaries are going up. Walls are going up. I will never trust you again to have that much in my life. I think we forget the art of trusting. The art of realizing that we have got, when we put trust in somebody, it means a heck of a lot. And we've got to understand that. But it doesn't have to be this huge thing. You know, it can sometimes be the smallest thing. What about taking somebody a cup of coffee and a donut? Maybe it's just a little donut hole, right? It doesn't have to be this huge, huge thing. Giving them a call, right? Not text them. I'm more likely to lose somebody's trust is blind every time I have a fall or accident. Yep, I get that, Alfonso, because they're concerned. You know, the thing is that we have to remember we don't have to do these big elaborate things. I'm on Alfonso's channel when at most 99% of the time I'm there on Saturdays. There's a couple times where I've had stuff going on and I've just said I can't be there or I'm in pain and he understands. But I'm there because I'm showing up for a friend. There's another girl that came in our chat yesterday and she said, I'm afraid to go and do a live because I just got the trolls. It's okay. And she messaged me yesterday and we're going to talk. I said, I got you. I'm going to show up for you. If that's what you need. So we can help you get going if that's what you desire to do. Don't let the trolls stop you from doing it. I certainly ain't going to let them stop me. They can come in here. They ain't going to last too long. They can come in here if they want. So it doesn't have to be this huge thing. Calling people just to say hello. How often are we checking in on people? How often are we making sure they're doing okay? I mean, really doing okay. And that means for us, if it's someone that we have a good established relationship, stop putting this face on this as, I'm okay, and everything else in your world is falling apart. People cannot show up to help you if you're doing that. They can show up. They can't show up to make a difference if you're going to sit there and put that face on and say everything's okay. Remembering small milestones in their lives, right? If they have a birthday, reaching out and saying happy birthday, maybe give them a call versus, just doing a text. Take 10 minutes. Say, I got 10 minutes. I'm just calling to see how you're doing. right? Small milestones. Maybe their child's gotten married. Maybe they're having a grandchild. Maybe, they got a promotion at work. Maybe they've lost 10 pounds and they're putting it on Facebook, and you want to call and say congratulations. Just give them that boost up a little bit. Spending quality time can be the small things that really matter in sustaining friendships. We sometimes forget the power. Making sure that we are spending quality time. Hi, Jake. How are you? Thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate that tremendously. Thank you so much for becoming a member, hon. We forget the power of wanting to make sure that we are, that we're just showing up for people. Quality time does not have to be this major thing. Sometimes we can work it out in our lives and in our friendships, right? Just to show up. Just to be there. Just to say, hey, I'm here. What you doing tonight? Oh, I'm staying home. I'm watching a movie. Well, can I bring a pizza and come over? We're just showing up. I'm doing okay. Thank you, Jake, for showing on up. We're going to have a hashtag. Hashtag showing up. We're going to start that. Because I think that's important. I think that we can show up wherever it may be. And just so people know, even if there's people watching this, they're thinking, I couldn't be there on the live, right? It's okay. You, as part of the replay crew, making comments in the comments, even if it takes us a couple of days to respond, depending on what's going on in our lives, you, by watching on the replay, are making a difference. You're participating within the community, and it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference, and we're very, very grateful for that. Things like persistent or presence, consistency, and support are the bedrock. Listen to that word. That's a very, very strong word. Bedrock of solid friendships that are unquantifiable. You can't put a price on them. Absolutely. So how do you show up for a friend? What are the ways that people have shown up for you that means the most meaningful? You guys coming in the chat mean a heck of a lot. My daughter, when she comes here on Sundays at times and shows up, means a great deal. She surprised me at Christmas Day. We weren't going to open our presents. We didn't until the 27th, right? We didn't do that. She showed up. I answered the door, and all of a sudden, there she is. She showed up. She was with her family, and they were not too far away. She was able to show up. I opened the door, and there she is. I don't need another Christmas present. I already got mine. You showed up. I wasn't expecting it. It was a total surprise. It meant the world to me. Right? What if you have a friend going through a difficult time? Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they're going through cancer. Maybe they're going through whatever it is. Do we think about showing up? What about the times if they are going through a divorce and they have to go into court? What about going beside them? So if they're going by themselves, they do not have to go in it alone. Have we really thought about how we're showing up for each other? It doesn't take this huge thing to make an impact to show people how important they are to you and how important you are to them. It works both ways. If you are in a friendship where you are giving, and they're not returning and reciprocating it, there's something wrong. And we may need to have a discussion on that. What if you are in a friendship where you feel like you're giving, and nothing's coming back on the other side? Then how do you have a discussion with a person to say, we have a problem. This is lopsided, right? It shouldn't be. If you're in a genuine friendship, there should be give and take. And sometimes in some people's lives, they may be in a time in their life where they can't give. The people within my aunt's life right now that are surrounding her, she's in a time now where she really can't give. Her friends are there. There's been times throughout her life where those friends been back and forth, right? But she's in a time in her life where she will do her best, but she may not have the energy to give back. It may be very one-sided for a while, but there's a very significant reason why. This is not just related to friends. This is your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephews. I have a wonderful little niece. She's not little anymore. She's about 11. The time go? Can I please ask where the time went? And I tell her every time I see her, remember, we have Messenger. You can talk to your Aunt Mary anytime you need to talk. I will show up for that girl at 3 o'clock in the morning if it need be. She knows she has someone she can call and talk to. I want her to know that. Are we showing up for our community? Are we showing up for ourselves? We're going to do I just think it was just like this morning when I thought about it. And I thought about all the people you can show up for. You better show up for yourself. You're worth it enough to show up for yourself. You got a number one fan right here. I've told people that I'll be your cheering squad. You can do it. Even when you don't feel like you can do it. You can do it. You got to take one step at a time. Now I'm going to do this real quick. And I love it that I don't have to open and have two computers running. I can have this computer on when I'm doing it because I could not have done it with the other computer. We're going to take a moment. Remember, on the 2nd and 4th week of the month, which is going to be a short month, we always gift memberships. I think it's this. Is it this? I should look right before I do it. Let me see. Yep. The 2nd and the 4th, which will be, we're going to do it probably on the 10th. We'll do it because this month is so short. We'll do it this week, and we'll do it next, the end of the month. And I may start changing that. We may choose to do it this month. We may alternate it, but I'll go ahead and do 5 memberships right now. Get the month rolling because we're talking about showing up, right? Twisted Zones, Knit Pearl, Lecture and More, DL Rod and Crochet. Sonia West got the memberships this time. And then we'll do the next memberships towards the end of the month. So get those in. But it's all about showing up. It's all about showing up and giving back. We have to remember when we show up for somebody, right? When we show up for somebody, we are taking away from what's going on in our lives. We'll feel better when we get done. If we got a lot of stuff going on and we're sitting there focused, right, on all this stuff that may be swirling around us, right? If we can take a moment and just say, you know what? I need to focus on maybe volunteering within your community. I need to be giving back to my community. Find your niche in your community. It doesn't mean you sit there and be in a soup kitchen. But there may be a place where you can flourish within your community to make your community a better community. If we remember the importance of showing up. Because in that instance, you are showing up for yourself. I guarantee you, whatever you're going through, you're going to get connection and you're going to feel better about yourself. Remember, crocheting connection, I love it, can build a beautiful tapestry. I love that saying. You have a wonderful, blessed week too, Jackie. Think about it for a second. Crocheting connection can make a beautiful tapestry. It is so true. Hi, Kristen. How are you, hun? It is so true to think about that. Thank you for showing up. It's going to be my new thing when I see people coming in. Thank you for showing up. Are you showing up for yourself today? What are you doing for yourself that needs yourself to be fed? Doesn't have to be major. Doesn't have to be major to show up for somebody. Guys, in your own lives, whatever it is, whether it's here on YouTube, whether it's your family's life, friends' life, community life, it doesn't need to be huge things. Let me ask you this. How many of us have things in our pantry, canned food that we may never eat? It looked good when we picked it up. Or what about going to the grocery store and they have a sale on certain canned food? What about picking up some canned food and getting a little bag together and taking it to your local, chicken soup, that sounds good. What about taking it to your local food bank, dropping off some cans of food? What are you doing? You're showing up for somebody. That's an easy and simple way to give back. If you got a friend that's not feeling good, call them up and say, can I do anything? And as a friend, stop putting the walls up that says, I'm fine, everything's okay. Because see, true friends, people that have invested time in you, know you're not okay. If I can tell you this, I know for a fact that if I text Kristen and I was not doing well and she thought something was off, the phone would be ringing within minutes. She'd be able to say, I've done it with her. No, there's something not right. I know when I get the news that my aunt's no longer here, that girl is going to be on Messenger with me and say, do you need me? I'm here. And if it means that I'm going to cry my eyes out on the phone, she's going to be there. She's going to show up. We have to remember it takes 200 hours to get to know somebody. We could share the soup if we live closer. Or I could bring you soup because you weren't feeling well. Absolutely. 100%. See, the thing is that we think of all these extravagant things. Doesn't need to be. Like I said, when I was an autistic mother raising an autistic child, I live in large. How are you? Thank you for showing up. I remember when if somebody would have called me up and said, can I do anything for you? Can I bring you anything? Do you need anything? If I could have gotten out of the mindset, everything's fine, and gotten totally out of that mindset to say, guess what? Everything's not fine. I'm really tired. And you know what? If you would like to bring me a meal, I would love it. It doesn't need to be. I'd take 2 pizzas at this point. I'm really tired. And I think sometimes we forget how simple it can be. Honestly. You guys can show up in ways to your content creators that you may not realize is helpful to them. You've got the power to share out their channel. We can do, the person on the other side can only do so much sharing. If you like it, if you like what they're doing, share them out. Content creators within this community and within YouTube, do what Lewis Acre Carmen and I did yesterday. We had a lovely discussion for 2.5 hours. I said to her, I'll go on anybody's channel, almost, and talk about my testimony, about my story, about autism, about dementia. If it helps somebody, I'm all in. Right? I'll do it. I have no problem doing it whatsoever. You want me on? Do it. One thing that she did yesterday that really, she said, I've got an interview link, like a Google Doc like we had for the cookies. And I thought, that's a great idea. I'd have never thought of that. So I'm going to go to her interview link because, see, we met each other through Tuber Chat. So that's how I met her. And so we talked, and she's come in my chat, and we've been trying to get together for a while. But I thought, that's a great idea. So I'm going to go to her link and see what questions she has and form my own interview link so that people can go to that interview Google Doc and fill it out. Now, I can honestly say, like she does, I can honestly say that there may be some times in which I may say that there may be channels in which, if they respond out to coming here or ask me to come to their channel, I may have to look at their channel and say, I appreciate the invite. I just can't come on there for personal reasons, or, so forth and so on. I hope to not have to do that a lot. I hope that they would be tremendously understanding. Or if I feel as if the channel is not the right fit for us, and I feel like my story could be better off done on I can send them someplace else to be able to get a better fit. Then that would be the only thing that I would probably say. I may say to them, I think that I'd love to come on, but I think that this place may be a better thing. And I may send them to another, channel that may be a better fit for them. But I love that interview link, because then we could review it and check it. I go check out their channel and everything. Yeah, we need to stay connected and with our own community. The one piece of advice I have is the only way to get out of your comfort zone is to step on out of it. If you want to make it bigger, you got to step on out of it. If I had stayed in the crochet niche, because the last name is crochet, part of it is crochet, but we're changing that, how we're thinking about it. We're crocheting connection here. I love that, because we're going to make a beautiful tapestry over the years. It'll be huge. The bigger, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody is coming together, and we're going to crochet. You're the hook. People are the yarn, and we're going to bring people together. We're going to crochet the connection and love. If you stay in your own circle and don't come out of it, you're going to stay within that circle. Only way to make it bigger is to step on out of it. Which means, that if I had stayed within the circle of crochet, as wonderful as that community is, I'd have still been tiny. And we would have still been tiny, because this is Mama's channel. I'm just in it for the connection. I needed to step on out of it. I've gotten in with homestead channels. I've gotten in with fishing channels. I've gotten in with art channels. I've gotten in with paint pour channels. I've gotten in with music channels. I'm all over the place, because at the end of the time, it's all about the connection. I don't care what your name of your channel is. I want to see what you're doing. Gardening channels, and I'm not a gardener. I garden with yarn, if you want to look at it that way. I'm not that. Right? I'm all about the connection. And through that, I can go all over the place. What's happened is my circle has gotten a lot bigger because I stepped on out of it. And I have met some amazing people I would not have met if I hadn't stepped out of it. So if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I'm a crocheter and I'm going to stay within that thing and that's where you're comfortable with, that's fine. But if you want to step on out, if you want to grow, you may need to step out of your circle. Start connecting with homesteading channels and gardening channels and fishing channels, all the other different kind of channels and niches and so forth. Connect with them. And if they're doing live content and there's live feed going on inside, then stop in and say hello. How are you? Start making those connections. Tuber chat, there's so many different niches in there, and I connect wherever I can, and I'm there to support wherever I can. And I have met some amazing people through building that. Tuber chat to me is a family, and we're there to help each other. So I agree, we need to stay connected with our own communities. But that not only involves here, guys, it involves in our outer communities as well, outside of this thing, right? If we have young kids and we're going to the grocery store and green beans and vegetables are 99 cents a can, why don't you have your little kids go pick up a couple cans of vegetables? We're going to pick 10 cans out. Which ones do you want to pick? They're on sale. And you say, we're going to take this to the local food bank and have them participate in that. There was a lady, I forgot it was I think it was Echo. I think it was Living My Best Life. I think it was. And she said, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't her. I can't remember where I heard it, honestly. I think it may have come from her, but I'm not sure. And she said that they had this thing where they were going to be raising money for some kind of charity within the charity was going to be given to the school, or the school was going to give to the charity. So they were trying to raise $600. And they started, those paper chains, right? They started those paper chains. And every time the kids got and donated money, they added change to the links. They raised $2,000. $2,200, I think it was. They actually did at the end of it. And she said they were so tired of making those chains and the paper chains, right? But it got the kids. This one little girl came home. She said, Mom, I have $100 in my piggy bank and I want to give it to the school. She came in, of course, her mom wrote the check and said, and gave $100. Do we realize the impact that we're doing with our generation? We've got to put stuff in front of them because everything is such a visual world today that we've got to get them involved with our communities. But guys, this is also an amazing community that we have built here. I'm very proud of what we've done so far. We got to 1,400. So funny because before Karma and I went on yesterday, I said, we're sitting at 1,397. She said, you're going to be at 1,400 before we were done. And sure enough, by the time that show was ended, she was exactly right. We were 14 and we got to 1,401. I'm like, man, do you see, Mary, what you have done with just crocheting that connection? And my mom says, Mary, it's just amazing to see what you have done. She said, you have such an amazing heart for people, and I do. Like I've said, I wish I could crochet you all a lovely blanket. I'd love to do it. I don't have enough money nor enough yarn nor enough time, but I'd love to do it. You all have become a family when there's days that I cannot go out. And we all have a community here. It's a community of showing up. About, if you go to our link tree, all of the Facebook groups are there. If somebody needed to put in the chat ever, would you please turn the lighthouse on? I may not have anything to talk about, but if I can, I will turn it on. If it means that we got to get it rolling so people can come in and talk. And I guarantee you, if somebody saw that within our Lighthouse Beacon group, there would be people in that chat showing up to be there in support for someone else. It's all about showing up. At the end of the day, you better show up for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you. How often have you decided to show up for you? You're important enough to show up for. And if other people are showing up for you in tiny and small ways, guess what? Don't look at that "I'm fine" face. Take it as the fact that you're worthy enough. We forget about this. This is very important. We're worthy enough to show up for just because of who we are. Did I just speak some truth to somebody? We're worthy enough to show up for just because of who we are. Just because we're us, we're me, we're proud to be me because everyone else is taken. If somebody is calling you and saying, guess what? How you doing? Oh, I'm fine. And everything in your life is falling apart. Don't do that. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. Not one. It's not happening here. I do not care if I spend an hour and a half for the next couple of months talking to 2 or 3 people in the chat, or if the chat hardly moves in the time that it's here, and you all are just sitting in the back and listening to me. If I'm making a difference, if I'm showing up for just one, that at the end of that stream, they're going to sit there and say, I'm proud of being myself. I'm going to show up for me today. You got a number 1 fan sitting and cheering you on saying, you can do this. You got this. You're loved. You're worthy enough. Don't put yourself down. Don't do it. You don't deserve to do it to yourself. You wouldn't do it to somebody else. You're worthy enough to be shown up for. And I'm going to show up for you. I'm going to show up for the community. I don't care how big this community gets, because you're worthy enough to do it for. You all have made such an amazing difference in this girl's life. My life is so different from last year to this year, and it's a continuous process. It's an absolute continuous process. And we're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep doing it. It's what has to happen. It's what needs to take place. We got to show up. How many places in your life do you need to think about, am I showing up? And am I allowing people to show up for me? Or am I just sitting there going, I'm fine? It's okay for things not to be fine. It's okay to cry. You know, there was a gentleman on one of those Facebook reels, and he said, we have a rule. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. He said, we have a rule for my friends. No one is allowed to cry by themselves. He said, if any one of my friends who are very close to me need to cry, they know they can pick up the phone and bawl their eyes out on the phone with me. We have a rule. Nobody is allowed to cry by themselves. They know that. And they pick up the phone and they pull their eyes out, but they're not sitting there crying by themselves. I loved it. What if you said to your friend, hey, if you're going through a really hard time, you can call on that phone and cry. And I'm not picking on Kristen, but I have told her, if you need to come and call me and cry on the phone, you can. If you're having a rough day, because I've raised an autistic individual, and you need to call me and put the phone down just so you feel like you have someone there, you can do it. You don't have to say one word, but if you just feel like you need to have that support, I'm here. Showing on up. I did that for a friend, and I was in the mix of Christina's planning for her wedding. And I had a friend who I dearly miss. She has since passed away. About the only one that really understood what was going on with Christina at times when nobody else seemed to understand it. She didn't have any children of herself, but she worked as a special aid teacher, and she ended up she just knew what I was going through. And towards the end of her life, she was having some real issues. And I spent sometimes 8, 9 hours on FaceTime. I said to her, listen, I knew she was going through a lot, and I don't regret doing any of it. I said to her, I have a lot of things at the very end of Christina, before Christina got married. She got married on in August, the end of August. This lady passed away September 19th on Christina's birthday. And I said to Lori, I love you. I'm here for you, but I've got all this stuff to do, and I can't be I can't be too much, talking back and forth. I can have you on. I can, I would put the phone on. I would mute it. And every once I could hear her, and every once in a while she'd go, Mary, and I'd unmute, and I said, I'm here. She said, okay, thank you. And you could just see her whole mood and her anxiety go right down. I felt so bad because there was not, I was here, she was in Florida, there was nothing I could do. And then we go by about another half an hour, and she said, oh, Mary, are you there? Are you there? And I unmute myself. I said, Lori, I'm here for you. It's okay, I'm here. You're okay, calm down. And I did that for big chunks of time. I would just have my phone, and so big, huge chunks of time. She just wanted to hear that somebody was there. Someone was showing up. Someone she trusted, and someone she cared about, and someone she loved was there for her. Because her mother and her had lived together, and they moved her mother out to go into an assisted living because she needed some assistance. And so it divided these two women, and Lori was having some huge medical issues, and it was hard. It was so difficult to watch. But I was there. I couldn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I just was there. And I had a friend call me about a week or two after she passed and said, yeah, she passed away, and that friend was there for me as I cried. Because Lori was there for me when nobody understood what it was like as I was dealing with not having anybody raising an autistic individual. Guys, this is why it is important, even if you sit there and say to yourself, I don't have an autistic child, I don't have one, I don't have one, and I don't know of any, and so I don't need that information. We're going to be doing a live with Living My Best Life on the 15th. I don't know if she has that up yet. And I have this redirected to, what is it? I have this redirected to My Other's Keeper because she will be doing her live in about 5 minutes. So I have it redirected over to My Other's Keeper. I love that redirect tool. I absolutely think that's amazing. Trying to find her channel. Hold on a second. I don't know if she has it on here yet. No, it's anyway, we're going to be doing a stream on service dogs. And there's probably going to be people that are going to go, I don't need that information, right? Here it is. I don't need that information. I don't know. I don't have any need for that. It's not on here yet. I was looking to see if she had it scheduled, but it's not here yet. And what I'll do is the day before not the day before, I'll do what I did with Lewis Acre Karma, and I will go ahead and do a live right before I go live with her, so that people that need, then they can be redirected over to it. So this is Living My Best Life. We would be doing it, I think, on the 15th. And we're talking about service dogs. And people may say, I don't need that information. It's education. You may run into somebody. At least you can understand what the struggles they may be going through. Understand what your friends are that have special needs children. They're struggling. They're tired. Understand what life they're having to go through. And there's little things you can do. There's little ways you can show up to be there to help them, so they don't feel like they're by themselves. Nobody needs to suffer in silence. Not one. Not one. So when you come in here to Blessed to Crochet, you know what we're going to start saying? Thank you for showing up. Because that's what I'm doing for you all. I hope you're doing that in your lives for yourself. I hope you're doing that in your lives with your community, your family, your friends. You're showing up. There was a lady who was talking on one of the reels, and she said, you know what? I get up in the morning. Now, I couldn't do this. Get up in the morning. And she said, before I use the restroom or do anything else, you know what I do? I look myself in the mirror, because I don't look the prettiest at that point in time. And she said, you know what? I say to myself in the mirror, I love you. And she said, it changes my whole day of how I think about myself in the morning and how I go about my day. I love you. So you can look in the mirror and say that. You can look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm proud of being me because everyone else is taken. Do whatever you need yourself to give yourself that little pep talk. But you better show up for yourself and allow people to show up for you. It's not a ding on your character. It's not that you're not strong. It's not anything. We all need people in our lives that we can show up for, because it helps us feel better. It helps us get through whatever we're going through. So when people come in this chat and you hear me say, thanks for showing on up. Well, thank you for showing on up. Are you showing up for yourself today? Who's showing up? Who are you allowing to show up for you? And if you're sitting there lurking and listening to this, thank you for lurking. Thank you for being there. I got a little bit of a tail under my fire the other night. And again, the stream is dedicated to Cash. And like I said, every channel we put in the chat may not be for everybody. And that's okay. But you know what? If they're here supporting us, we're going to be back supporting them, because we're showing on up. And he just had me think for a second, Mary, you got to show up. Because sometimes it can get discouraging. We all have times in our life when we get discouraged. And I had to remind myself, Mary, you were depressed last week. And it showed. And what did you do? You told a couple people you were depressed, but I don't think you realized how far you were. I mean, I was depressed enough to not feel like doing anything. And I had to say to myself the other day, Mary, as difficult as this waiting game is, to wait till you get the phone call, you can't live your life for the next 3, 4, 5 months, however long it is, to get the phone call that you know what's coming. You got to take every day and love and, and crochet that connection. I love that. I think we should do I think there may be a logo or something coming out with that one. Crochet connection. We're making a beautiful tapestry here at Blessed to Crochet. Amen. We're crocheting connection. We're showing on up. You are worth it enough to show up for. And we love each and every one of you that are here and part of this community. And it's all about the connection. It is all about it. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep getting the word out. We're going to keep crocheting connection. We're going to keep showing up, because that's what friends and community does. And here, no, not one person is going to suffer in silence unless they choose to. And let me encourage you not to choose to do that. Choose to have other people come beside you and show on up. You're worth it to do so. And we love you all just for being you. It means a great deal, and we are so, so grateful. We're going to take a moment, because like I said, this stream will redirect over to My Other's Keeper. We're going to take a second, and I think hers has started, and we're going to just take a moment, thank our members. We're so blessed that Jake became a member today. It is never expected. It is appreciated. Remember that, it just helps to bring extra content to the channel and get us to be able to do things like, help to kind of upgrade the computer so that we're cutting out. It was nice to go through a stream and not have to have this computer over here and my Chromebook over here trying to gift memberships and do all that fancy stuff, and that we were able to just do it all and have it all. And so, having things like that. And then in April, we have our, what was it? I can't think what it is now. We have, think about it in a second. StreamYard, we'll have to renew with them. So that's another cost. So, like we said, we're just glad you guys are showing on up. We're glad you're here. If you cannot participate in the memberships right now, we understand. It is never expected, it is appreciated, but it does help with all that kind of stuff. And we, again, appreciate it. And we hope that you're just happy to be here, because you're worth it enough for us to show up for you. And we love each and every one of you. We're just going to take a moment. And I'll tell you, when I hear this, I'm in the background doing a little dance. And then I get to see Elvis at the end. And then it says, thank you very much. And so we just want to thank you very much, too, for you all being here and participating in Crocheting Connection. I absolutely love that. I love that. So here we go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm happy I got to see Elvis. I'm always happy when I get to see Elvis, right? Just for a second, just hearing his voice. Anyway, I hope tonight was helpful. Like I said, My Other's Keeper is going to be on, so this will redirect you over to her. I hope you will go over and give her a subscribe for me. And if you haven't subscribed to us, what you waiting for? We have a bunch of fun here at Blessed to Crochet. We crochet connection. I love it. My new favorite things. Again, just a personal note. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Cash Kelly, for just that little bit of boost I needed. And I appreciate that, brother, for showing on up, and you all for just showing up and being here. You all, I cannot express it enough. You all mean the world to me. And I'm not saying that for anybody to join up as a member or get super chats or anything like that. I'm saying it because it's coming directly from this heart. I am very grateful for the connections I have made through this channel, through the Lifeboat, through Relatable Reese, through so many other channels, that it has just changed my life in so many ways. I still deal with pain. I still have things I have to deal with, but on a whole, it has helped me so, so much. And I am so, so grateful to you all. Thank you for showing up for this girl. Thank you for showing up for Mama. Thank you for showing up. And we're going to get some more live streams and more topics like this rolling. We're also going to put a post up probably in the middle of the month for starting to do some quotes. So if you would like to put in for a quote that you like, that really means a lot to you, you can put it in the comments, the community post, and we will certainly look at those quotes, and maybe yours will go up. And if you have a channel, of course, we'll go ahead and tag it. So if you have a quote you want to participate, we'll go ahead and start putting those up and let you all put quotes that really mean something to you. We'll start doing that, and I will get the form up shortly this week for anybody that is interested in interviewing, coming on and doing a connection kind of thing and a chit chat. We'll do that. And I will also put another one up for anybody that's interested in us coming on their channel. So I'll have it both ways. I'll have one that says, like to appear on Blessed to Crochet, and you can tell us about your channel, tell us about yourself, tell us about your story. And we'll do another one that says, we'd like you a guest on our channel. And that way you could fill that out. And then that way you could submit that to us, and we could go ahead and see what we can do. But I think we'll do maybe both. I don't know. I don't know if it'd be easier or not to do it that way, but we could have that available if anybody would like to fill it out as us to be a guest on their channel, which would probably be a very short one compared to the other one. But I think that Google idea is a great idea. And Karma, thank you for that good idea, because I would have never thought of that. That's why coming together and collaborating is a very, very good thing. So I had a lovely conversation with her the other day. I thank you very much. We're really going to have more conversations because we've raised an autistic individual, and we also have spouses that deal with autism as well. So we have a lot in common, and I was very grateful for the interview. So thank you for showing on up today. You're worthy enough to show up, for people to show up for you. Thank you for showing up for me. I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you for just being here. It meant the world to us. Remember, be proud of being yourself, because everyone else is taken. Showing on up for yourself, right? Remember, we got you covered. Thank you so much for having us covered. And remember, stay connected, everybody. It is so important. We're crocheting connection at Blessed to Crochet. That is what we're crocheting. And we'll see you on the next one. Talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Bye-bye.